Port High School Admiral football. The Admirals will be on the road this week in Pascagoula facing the Panthers over there in War Memorial Stadium. Always a tough place to play, so get out and support us, Admiral Nation. We're going to need all the help we can get. Even though we had a heartbreaking loss last week, I kind of feel like we're moving into Pascagoula with a lot of momentum. Like I said, a heartbreaking loss, but a lot of great things. We had a lot of good momentum in all phases of the game. Offensively, defensively, special teams. I feel like we outperformed Petal in a lot of things. And look, Petal brought a good team down here to Milner last Friday night. They're respected statewide. They brought a very skilled, very physical team, and I felt the Admirals held their own. Coach and I are going to take a deeper dive in just a few minutes. But real quick, Admiral Nation, just an update. Like I said, tomorrow night in Pascagoula, 7 p.m., and it kind of starts our first week of a 3-week Jackson County swing. So the following week, we'll go back to Jackson County and play Ocean Springs, which kicks off our first week of region play, right? So that's a big week in OS. And then we'll come back to Milner on October 10th to end out the Jackson County 3-game swing, if you will, and we'll host St. Martin in Milner on October 10th. We'll need all the support we can get, Admiral Nation. Get out there and support us. And so let's get right into the show. A heartbreaking loss. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Coach Pennick.
Thanks, man.
Heartbreaker.
In
Milner last Friday. Very talented team in Petal.
Well, the Admiral faithful that's showed up again big. Last Friday night, great crowd, a lot of energy, a lot of support, and the first 2 home games of the season, our fans have really gotten their money's worth.
Yeah.
You wish we could have come out on the other end of those things, but you're playing great teams. You're getting tremendous experience through our non-region schedule, and you're playing physical football teams that are going to end up preparing you for later on down the road when you're going to need to be playing your best. So, obviously the task is trying to come out on top and making that key play to get us over the edge and come away with those wins. And our guys are playing hard. Our coaches are coaching hard. We're preparing and putting ourselves in position to get that win. And so, obviously Petal, it's a storied program, a proud program. They had taken one on the chin the week before they played us. And so, with a guy that's as, heralded and, Marcus Bowles is a legend in Mississippi,
yes.
Right? The head coach at Petal, and
that's right.
That's a guy that's won a million games, and to have his team, he knew he was about to get his best shot, right? And so, just did a great job. They prepared, they played a great game, played a cleaner game than they had been, and I thought our guys answered the challenge, and we're right there at the end. Just didn't come away with it, man.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
So, Coach, our only 2 losses. We were talking before the show. Our only 2 losses of the year. We've had the ball in our hands last play of the game to win the game.
Yeah.
How do you, that's frustrating. How do you keep the kids engaged? How do you keep the locker room and the culture, the mentality where you want it?
I think you just try to realize what the standard of play is, right? And so, you're talking about legitimately, like you just said, the last play of the game in both scenarios, where if, that one play goes a different way and then the other play goes a different way, then you're sitting here undefeated. You probably have a number next to your name. You're one of the ranked in the top 10 teams in the state of Mississippi, and everybody's in love with everything, right? And so the team that we are is still there, right? If that kick just goes a little bit left, from Carter Platt, and you're looking at it right here is I showed our guys, and I put a cut up of it, is you change 2 plays. All right, but this is the thing. It's not just those 2 plays, right? I made a cut up of it, guys. I put about 22 plays on a cut up of if we can make just that play,
right,
or just that play, not all of them, but just that one or just that one. Any one of those types of things, we're sitting here feeling a lot better about ourselves. And so what you're trying to look for is, can you learn from it? Do you get better for it? And then that way it gets you carried through the region schedule and into the playoff picture.
That's right. And we're going to take a deeper dive into the game recap and get a little more specific on each phase of the game. But I'm with you, especially, look, you mentioned Carter Platt. He was impressive. His kickoffs are deep in the end zone. That's
right.
a huge
thing.
Weapon
absolutely huge thing in high
for
school.
a team with field position.
Yep.
So, look, Admiral Nation, we're going to take a 60-second break, and we'll come right back with the game recap from Coach Pennick. Y'all stay with us. Tonight's Coach's Corner is being brought to you in part by Harborview Oral and Facial Surgery Center.
located at 1301 25th Avenue, Suite 3, right here in Gulfport. Whether you need dental implants, bone grafting, wisdom teeth removal, cosmetic work, or several other procedures, Dr. Jason Rossetti and his staff have you covered. Their cutting-edge technology and personalized recovery plans help you heal right the first time so you can get back to smiling with confidence. Contact them at 228-867-0121. Their office hours are Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Fridays from 8 to 12:30 p.m. Thank you, Dr. Jason Rossetti and your staff, for supporting Gulfport High Admiral football.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. And real quick, before we get into the game recap, we just want to thank Woody's, our roadside sponsor right here. Doug and his staff do a tremendous job. Great crowd, great energy each week. Thank you, Woody's Roadside, for supporting Admiral football. All right, Coach, so our game recap. We've talked a little bit about Petal in our first segment. Offensively, defensively, and special teams. We talked about Carter and the special teams a little bit.
Yep.
All of them, I felt, showed up. Our defense has been visible the entire season. Saw a lot of good things on offense, but I'd like to start with the defense.
Yep.
Let's jump right into it. What did you see? What do you take away from your defense?
One of the bigger things, they have two of the best backs in the state of Mississippi, and they're really physical up front. It's always been kind of a calling card of Petal teams of the past is they're going to be physical up front. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be a lot of power, a lot of counter, a lot of wide zone type situations, and they just do it so well. And they have the extra added dimension this year of having a running quarterback. So now you got a +1 in the run game that you have to account for. And so, we really, really wanted to do a great job of trying to make the quarterback one-dimensional as far as having to stop the run and make him have to push the ball downfield. And for most of the game, I thought we did a tremendous job of really limiting the explosive plays. Obviously, the second drive of the game, they busted one and got a big touchdown. But outside of that, then I thought we did a great job of really putting them in some down and distance situations that were, longer, more adverse for us and for them. And so I thought we just played well. I thought we tackled, we rallied to the football, got 11 hats to the ball and all that. And so was really excited with that. And then kind of going into the game, we had really tried to structure and give our corners some new rules to kind of settle them down a little bit, right? We want to stop giving up the easy completion. And so because we were doing a good job throughout the year so far of getting ourselves into 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10 situations on defense, but then just because of the way our techniques of our corners are playing, and they just skate out of there, and we're giving up those easy 7-8 yard completions and getting ourselves in bad situations. And so really did a great job. Coach Hall, our Jamal Hall, our corners coach, did a great job right there this past week of getting ourselves, in those positions to make better plays on those types of throws. And we didn't give up those as many. We kind of shut down we talked about last week, the number 14, the receiver, the 6'2", 200-pound kid. He didn't impact the game at all. And so, or outside of the 2-point conversion, but did a good job right there playing corner. So it's a step in the right direction from where we want to be.
Sure. Like I said, I feel like we're moving with momentum despite a loss. With such a skilled team like Petal was coming into Milner, like you said, we give up just a few explosive plays, if that, maybe just one.
Yep.
So that's a big-time victory. But let's take it a little further with the defense and focus on that last drive.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dagger. It was a killer. 14 plays, 80 yards. Had some huge third down conversions for their part. Credit to their coaching staff. Credit to their players for just executing in the moment, right? And driving that long for a high school offense is difficult to do, and they were able to do it without any penalties. And we backed them up. We hit the quarterback. We did a great job putting pressure on him. They stayed steady, continued to run the football, and then obviously, we had a couple of bounces that I was hoping would go our way, and we had the ball that tipped off the receiver's head, and somehow he came down with it, and then stayed steady, and then busted the long run, right, and then with the misfit and the tackle there, you'd love to get that guy on the ground right there and make them continue to drive it, but. Busted off a 25-yard run that put them in scoring position. Then they got a face mask penalty on 3rd and goal that put them in more of a scoring position right there on the 4th and goal. And so, then when they take the timeout, they decide, we know exactly, as soon as they take the timeout, they're going to go for 2 and try to go for the win right there. And credit to Coach, Coach Bull's there for having the guts to do that. And, that's what these non-region games are, right? Hey, we're coming here to win, do that stuff on the road, right? Well, we talked about our big thing was we think about, because everybody that does those 2-point plays like that, you're thinking like Philly special, right? And so we're talking through all the scenarios with the players. You only have about 40 seconds to be able to get that stuff in and talk to them about it, and then they come up with a trick play, right? And it's a beautifully drawn up trick play. Our guy doesn't have really the awareness of, he goes and he's trying to make the play, right? And then leaves the receiver in the back of the end zone by himself. So that was a tough one to swallow. We just kind of talked about all those scenarios, and but it's a learning process, right? And so the next time we get into a situation like that, I think we'll be the better for it.
Yeah, I was we all heard that Petal was bringing down some highly skilled players, but they were better in person. I got to say, they were impressive.
They were big,
and that last drive, they made some plays. But on the flip side, you and I spoke about this earlier in the week. Man, our luck right now. It's you can only laugh about it in every game. So that'll turn, and we'll get on a run. So that's kind of our recap defensively. Offensively, really the theme of our show, you and I having conversations up to this point, has just been developing the passing game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel after Friday night's game?
A lot better. Well, to an extent, right? A lot better. We wanted to be able to push the ball vertical. We wanted to be able to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands at times. We wanted just to be more versatile in the passing game, and I thought we really, really did that. 17 to 32 for 190 yards, and and the elephant in the room, the obviously the part is all the drops.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And we had 10 drops in the game, and some that were pivotal.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Some huge drops in the game that cost us touchdowns and huge plays and different things like that. So those numbers really could have been astronomical as far as our receivers and our quarterback and stuff in the passing game. And so it was good to see us get comfortable, see us get some confidence in it, because we did have some guys that made some great plays too in the passing game and continue to move the football vertical, because everything, obviously Petal was geared up to stop the running game, and they did a really good job for the most part there late in the third quarter, early in the fourth. Cooper really started to get going, and so we were loving that part of it, and then continuing to be able to be versatile with him in the passing game, catching 2 touchdown passes, right? And so excited about that and his versatility. But once again, I think Mylan Stubbs made a couple of big plays. Cam Morgan made a couple of big plays. Javius Hales had some really key drops, but he also made some big plays as well. And those guys are really young players. Like, they did not play at all last year, and so all these situations that they're being put in are brand new to them, and I think that some of the mistakes you make and you get frustrated with it as a coach and some stuff like that, but it's learning experiences for them if we take it that way and we're able to move on and not make those mistakes the next week, and you start just stacking those things and making them good, better days. Then by the time you're in October, November in the season, you're at that point a pretty good football player.
Yeah. And just to add to that, I felt that Parker looked more relaxed. Mm-hmm. He had more poise. He was trusted in his feet more during the game. But you hate to see those drops, especially on that last drive. I'm pretty sure he couldn't have put it in a better place. That happens. Our wide receivers will learn for it. It's a young group of wide receivers who actually we'll talk about them later on in the program. But getting back to Parker, I felt like he really made some crucial throws on crucial downs, and that was the most impressive thing that I took away from the offense.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the big thing for him is being poised in the situation and understanding what his ability allows him to do. And I thought he did a great job of finding his hot reads off the blitz, and we were able to find some access throws out there. Did a great job reading our RPO game. Obviously did a great job in the drop back game. We had some explosive plays in the pass game available, made some good reads, put the ball where he needed to put it. And that's all you can ask for him, right? You know, and continuing to stack these days, I think it was a step in the right direction. Getting him comfortable at the 7A level and making those plays and making those reads. I think he walked off the field disappointed in the loss, but encouraged by the way that he was playing.
Good. Yeah, and that was obvious how well he played. And look, as Parker gets more comfortable and creates more plays, becomes that playmaker, he's just going to add to our horse, our stallion, Cooper Crosby. A lot of stuff will open up for him. He was impressive. I think it was a first or second drive. He was running around the end. He broke the first tackle and then left, I think, a cornerback on the side and got the first down by a yard. Every week the kid just shows up and does something extraordinary. It's very fun to watch. So, speaking of fun to watch this game, it was a nail-biter, like we said. So, before our break, I want you to kind of take the Admiral Nation through that last drive of us having the ball, marching down the field, and getting in field goal territory.
Yeah, so, I mean, every Wednesday we finish our Wednesday practice. It's a giant situational day, and so every time on Wednesday we go through a 2-minute drill, and we talk about all the keys, right? And so when you're doing a 2-minute drive, there's sequences that you want to have. One, you want to start it off with completions, right? You want to get the chains moving. You want to get the defense on their heels. And then you got to have some kind of a chunk play, some kind of a big play to get things going and get it really, really rolling. Well, we started the first play off. We ended up having another drop. You know, it wasn't a great throw, but we had another drop. But we came back with another good play and got some positive yards and got the chains moving, gotten out of bounds. And so we talk about our guys. If we're outside the hashes, we are busting our tails to the sideline, right, and trying to save as much time. That extra yard is not going to matter in the grand scheme of things more than the time does. And so we had 50 seconds left. We had one timeout, and so not a lot of opportunity there, right? But, you know, we nearly executed a flawless 2-minute drive against Picayune. We did it again, last Friday night. And so we feel comfortable in that mode. And I think that's right there where Parker feels at his best. Yeah. And so, you know, did a good job right there, hit a big play right there with Javius Hales, then hit another one with Mylan Stubbs and Cam Morgan, and was able to get there. And then we obviously hit the huge play that got us into position with the screen pass to Cooper Crosby. Yep. And so got in there, ended up trying. We had 11 seconds left, and we had a timeout. And so we have a play that we run, you know, kind of a save the clock type play, and try to see if we couldn't get a little bit closer. Would have loved to have another timeout right there. We kind of burned another one before that. And so we ended up not getting that open, and so threw that away and said I had all the confidence. A 39-yarder. I've seen Carter Platt hit that a million times in practice. I mean, we start every single day with PAT field goal first thing, and so I've seen him kick it a mile and do those things, and had all the confidence in the world in him. And you know, in that situation, you just don't know how high school kids are gonna react in those deals. But I mean, good snap, good hold, and you know, he put a good swing on it, and then just it went over the upright. I think we all thought it went in, and then we all did. Yeah, we all thought it went in, and then when the referee said no go, we were all heartbroken at that point, and so it was a complete role reversal, but from each sideline. So. You know, one of those learning experiences right there.
And Carter's showing a lot of poise in that moment.
Yep.
You know, young kid, doesn't have a lot of field goal attempts.
Nope. It's impressive.
How about going out there 39-yarder right hash to win the game?
I know.
Go get him.
Well, you come through. He's 2 of 4 on his field goals this year. Obviously, the very first drive of the season, when he kind of shanked the first one, little nerves here and there, you know, but he hits a game winner against Laurel. Or kind of, you know, he hits one late in the game right there that ends up winning the game for us, and then he took another one, hit another one to get us on the board against Petal there, and then obviously that one put a good swing on it and just didn't quite go in, but and I think he's gaining confidence in the way he's playing, because I know he's kicking the crap out of the ball on our kickoffs and everything, and punting the ball well too at about a 38-yard clip, and so he's becoming a weapon.
Yeah, he is. He was impressive, not only with the poise on the field goal. We were talking earlier, just the kickoffs. You know, that is such a huge weapon to have your kickoff guy put it in the end zone and start them at the 20.
Absolutely.
All right, so before our last break, even with this nail-biter of a loss against a high-caliber team, what do you take away from it? And how do you translate that to the locker room to get those kids more motivated to keep plugging along?
I think, for us, what we take away is we know we're a good football team, right? We know we're a good football team, but what's the difference in being a great football team and being an elite football team? And I think you still continue to look around the state of Mississippi, and it's the self-inflicted things, right? And so it comes out to the innate ability just to, when you need it, your team needs it the most, to make a play. And I think you see that with the really great teams is you just have guys that are just, when you get put in a position, the play is just made. And I think that's the one thing. And a lot of times when that happens, that's because those guys have been in those positions. And so the more times I think we're in those positions, I think the biggest thing for us is holding our guys to the point of learning from those mistakes and learning from those errors to not make them next time, and have the situational awareness within the game to be able to operate, because you put yourself into a 16-year-old mind, and you know the game is on the line, and you know that things are happening and flying around, and I got to do this, I got to do that. Well, then what do I do when the back flares out, all right? Or when I have my route and the corners pressing me, do I convert this route, or do I get inside stem and break it off at 10? And like all the different nuances to execute a play that come into play, do I forget about those because of the situation? Right. And so that's one thing I think that our guys are with each week are getting better at, and those are the things that are going to end up taking you over the top when it comes to the nuts and bolts of it.
Sure. Yeah. And it's still an early season for us, right? Remember, we had our bye week after the first week of the season.
Yeah, everybody else has played 4 games. We played just 3. That's right, yeah.
So our 2 setbacks have been against, heavyweight programs in the state of Mississippi. So we've got a lot of stuff to build on, a lot of momentum going the Admiral's way. Again, tomorrow night we will be in Pascagoula. We'll need all of Admiral Nation to show up to support us on the road. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 60 seconds to do a player unit spotlight. We'll spotlight the wide receivers when we get back. Thank you.
We would like to take this time to remind you that Gulfport football's Big Men in the Trenches are sponsored by Gulfside Periodontics of Gulfport. Speaking of trenches, don't let the trench mouth or any array of gum diseases affect your quality of life. When it comes to strong teams, you know the foundation matters. And when it comes to your smile, Gulfside Periodontics is the MVP. From advanced dental implants and laser gum therapy to expert periodontal care, their team is trusted by families across the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Located at 423 Security Square, Gulfside Periodontics of Gulfport uses cutting-edge tech to treat gum disease, restore your smile, and keep your oral health in championship form. No pain, no pressure, just precision care. Contact Dr. Thomas Carter and his staff at Gulfside Periodontics today. Visit them at gulfsideperio.com or give them a call at 228-205-4843. Thank you, Gulfside Periodontics of Gulfport, for supporting Gulfport High Admiral football.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. This segment, we will do our player unit spotlight. This week we feature the wide receivers, right, after a big game last week. We're going to kind of talk and pick Coach Pennick's brain on these young, really talented guys, right?
Yeah, no, we normally have our wide receiver coach, Rashad Floyd, here, but they're in the mix of it right now. We got a huge middle school game tonight at playing North Gulfport over there at Milner right now, and Coach Floyd he dials it up for us on the offensive side down there. So yeah, here we go. What you got here? Huh?
So what do you see as the biggest strength right now with your wide receiver crew?
Well, I think one thing is, guys, these guys are super coachable. And that's a big deal. I think a lot of times wide receivers are the leading personalities on any football team, right? I mean, they really
divas, man.
Yeah, ain't no doubt they're the divas. You look at any high school, college, NFL. They're definitely the guys that you want. They want the ball at all times. Well, you're triple covered. It doesn't matter. Throw it to me anyway. I'm open. But I think these guys are all supportive of one another. They all play as a unit. Right now they've lacked a ton of experience kind of coming in. But I tell you this, what's been the greatest thing is the thing that they mess up in week 1, they don't mess up in week 2. The thing they mess up in week 2, they don't mess up in week 3. And so right now, as we keep stacking those things, that it's not going to be a perfect situation right now, but as they keep stacking these things, they're going to end up being a very, very solid unit. It's a group that doesn't have a lot of speed. It's a group that it's not a big guy out there or anything like that, but I think they're all really solid high school receivers. And as you saw last Friday, have the ability to get behind the 7A defense with some regularity.
Yeah, we talked about their drops earlier. Look, they had a lot of good catches as well throughout the season. A lot of clutch catches, a lot of catches they probably shouldn't have made.
Yep.
But if you had to highlight the leader of the group, of the whole wide receiver gang, who would you say?
That's tricky. All right, well, so I'll say, Cam Morgan, I think, is the guy that probably leads the unit, I would say. He's the guy that's going to kind of be there all the way. He got held back, or not held back, but he got kind of stunned. He was playing elite football kind of right there at the end of July, early August, and then got held back with a hamstring that set him back a few weeks and kind of he's still not necessarily back from it, but he's just kind of gutting through and playing with it. But he's a guy that we really trust to be where he's supposed to be and kind of do what he's supposed to do and can make some key plays. Had a couple huge third down conversions in the game against Petal last Friday. And so Mylan Stubbs is one of those that he's a steady guy. You know where he's going to be. He's able to wiggle his way and find space. Made some massive catches last week and has really done a great job in the intermediate game for the first 3 weeks of the season. And he's a physical kid. He's a solid run blocker and does his job there, and a great team guy, right? And then obviously we have a young guy named Jayon Pollard who hasn't made any plays yet this season, but is going. His ceiling is through the roof. He can really run. And we're just trying to he's a sophomore and he's a young buck, and so you go through those kind of ebbs and flows with the young guys. But I look for him to kind of make some plays at some point before the season. You're going to know his name, and then the last one is probably the most talented one, Javius Hales. Obviously he had a tough game Friday with some of the key drops, but the one thing about it is on the first series he just stems, makes a great back shoulder and ended up dropping the ball, but I've seen him make that play 12 times, right? Then he goes right at it, charges at an off corner right there, stuns him, and gets 10 yards behind him, and then he short arms the ball for what would have been a touchdown. And that's a play that he makes in his sleep. And then obviously on the big post route there at the end where he kind of juggled the ball throughout the entire end zone, that's a kid that we have seen make play after play after play in practice and in game. He's done it in games. He caught the exact same play in the spring game for a touchdown. So he's a guy that we have a ton of faith in. Understanding that group right there is just the consistency in preparation that it takes for them to be what they need to be is still the learning process, right? Is getting every day and making sure your treatment and taking care of your body, making sure you're preparing yourself in the weight room, doing all the things in the meeting rooms, and then going out and practicing the right way to be able to do what you have to do on Friday night to have success.
Yeah, another thing I've noticed is just their downfield blocking. They're good teammates.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's one thing Coach Floyd and they do a great job with that is being selfless and understanding. He comes from that college background right there. Is you don't block, you don't play, because everybody can catch the ball and do and run rate routes and all that stuff. Is being able to be physical and trying to explode the run game and do things for the rest of your team.
So besides them just becoming more physical and growing and maturing in size and hitting the weights, what can you name another challenge that's keeping this group from becoming just absolute playmakers every Friday night to where they? I
think really just learning route precision. Right, and creating that separation on those basic routes. It's one thing to say, here I got to play. Oh my God, I got a slant right here. In the heat of the battle, when things are going around, the band's playing, the student section's hollering, and everything's going. All right. Here I got a 3-step slant, 1, 2, 3, run the slant. Right. Well, there's some nuance, like I talked about earlier. How's the corner playing me? Where's the flat defender? Do I need to bend this? Do I need a diamond release? Do I need to stab 1, 2 and get out? And, some of those things right now are the missing link. Right now we're just kind of existing,
right?
And so I thought we took a major step forward because, and flat out honest, we did not play well as a unit against Laurel. we were not good at all. And so challenged those guys throughout the week, and I thought they came back and responded with a tremendous game. And that's why I hated the drops were kind of the story of the game, because everything else I thought they did very, very well.
Yes.
And so there were
some big catches before those drops.
Absolutely, 100%. And so, kind of taking those with that is like, I know that's what they're dwelling on and what we're dwelling on, that kind of thing. But understanding, hey, look, we took a step forward. Right. It may don't feel like it, but we took a step forward, and now let's just take another step forward.
That's right.
And so they've done that this week. They practiced hard. I know that they take it personally on that stuff, and they've really put in a good amount of work to make sure that is not the case anymore.
Well, look, I know if they take after their coach, they're going to take it personally.
Yeah, no doubt.
Talking about one of the better Gulfport High Admirals to ever come through the football program, Coach Floyd is now over the wide receivers. What a joy to watch. And I know another thing, they're having fun at practice with Coach Floyd. He makes everything fun.
Well, ain't no doubt about it. He's hard on them too, man. He's tough on them. He expects a lot out of those guys. And I tell you this, if you're a receiver at Gulfport High School, I mean, what better guy to learn from a dude that has literally walked the halls you're walking and done all the things you're doing and came from the same background you're coming from, and then it's gone and had success where you want to go. And so, I mean, I think that for our kids at Gulfport, I mean, we have such great wide receivers. A lot of time in the lineage, we got some coming, right, in the younger grades and all that. I think it's something for those guys to kind of look forward to and have a badge of honor right there on that.
Right. Good deal. Lots of good things ahead of us. A young wide receiver core for the Admirals. Mm-hmm. We look forward to watching them on the gridiron in weeks to come. Hey, we're going to take another 60-second break. We will be right back. Y'all stay with us, Admiral Nation.
Are you ready to relax, recover, and feel rejuvenated? Well, we'd like to remind you to take a time out with Revive and Thrive, located at 1073 Acadian Drive, right here in Gulfport. Come enjoy their saunas, cold plunges, contrast therapy, and rejuvenating salt room, or even shut out the world in their sensory deprivation float suite. With state-of-the-art equipment and over a decade of combined experience in the field, these Gulfport High alums are ready to tailor their services to empower you to thrive. So, whether you're getting ready for your next big event or just wanting to feel rejuvenated in your daily life, contact Revive and Thrive to book an appointment or ask about membership options today. Thank you, Revive and Thrive, for supporting Gulfport High Admiral football.
Hey, welcome back. And we just want to take this time to thank our signature sponsor again, Woody's Roadside. Man, they do a great job for the Admiral Nation, the football team. They're great supporters. Doug is the owner here. His team, his staff does a great job rolling out the red carpet for all of us Admirals, and he provides a great atmosphere in here, man. The crowds grow each week. Always a football game on. Y'all come back down and see us. Make it a weekly ritual to come hang out with Coach Blake Penny. All right, Coach, so we've talked about the game. We've talked about our wide receivers last segment. Let's just talk moving forward with the corrections and the directions. You've said all season two of your kind of adjectives you've used that I love are physicality and discipline.
Yep.
How do you feel? I mean, I know we keep hounding on this, but I mean, we haven't had a lot of breaks these first three games. We have two losses to arguably two of the tougher teams in the state.
That's right.
How do you keep that mentality, that discipline, and that physicality as a mainstay in your locker room?
We point it out every time we see it. We point it out every single time we see it, and the success from it, right? And then, we also point it out when we don't see it and what the results are. And so, there's times, I mean, you're never going to be perfect in a game, but you see where discipline matters, and you see where discipline shows up, and then you see what the results come from that. And then you also see where it's not, and where are we doing the right things? Are we doing the stuff that's necessary on and off the field, right? And how that impacts our team, how that impacts the result, and overall what we're doing as a program. And I mean, the physicality part of it, I think, Coach Bulls, and him and I have known each other for a long time, and he's always said it best, he said, because Petal, it's always a tough deal for the coast teams. They don't have a ton of success, and in that against that Region 3 a lot of times. And so it really, the biggest deal ultimately comes down to physicality, right? And so that was kind of one of the things when we were at Ocean Springs, we wanted to become physical. We did that here, and I think it's the same scenario. Is the physicality, I think, is there, and we preach it and we practice it, and we do it all of the time. And I think our guys embrace that aspect of the game, and sometimes you just come up short, but where can I improve? Where can my edge come from? And so. And throughout practice, man, and just, continuing to do that and preach it and coach it, and how do we get it out of them and that kind of thing, and motivate those guys. Doing that, I think, ultimately I'm excited about the steps that we're taking from the discipline aspect and the physicality part. The next part is that competitive edge that we've talked about as well, is trying to get to that point of where when the time is to make the play, by God, I just make it. Yeah. And it just happens, so. Here you go.
And there's always that kind of fine line, right?
Yeah.
Between correcting mistakes but still maintaining our confidence level with our kids.
That's right.
So
that's right. It's a balance.
It's got to be it's got to be a huge challenge for you and your staff.
It is. Yeah. You obviously you want them to understand where we fall short and why we fall short, but you never want to. Because we're going to get back into that situation again. There's going to be another opportunity in the season that we're going to be in that situation again, and have the confidence that, all right, it's not going to be like last time.
Right.
All right, what am I going to do? What have I practiced? What has Coach said? How are we going to execute to where I make sure that doesn't happen again? And so just continuing to do that and making sure that once you put in the work, at the end of the day, that's all you can do. If you do what you're coached to do and you do it to the best of your ability, and you practice that and you're prepared for that, at the end of the day, man, that's the best you can do, and let's rock and roll.
Sure. And what would be some techniques that you and your staff do to look? We keep saying it on the show, we played some big time programs this first 3 games.
Right.
Does that dialogue, do y'all let that message kind of resonate in the locker room with the kids? I guess what my question is how do are we preparing them for late October and early November by showing them these games on tape, on video?
Yes, there's no doubt. I mean, you'd love to be playing other teams and be 3-4-0 like some of the others around the coast, and. But I don't think that those teams know any more about themselves than they would have. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it's a thing now. At the end of the day, to if you want to be a good football team, you also want to win those games. Like, it's not just we want to play those things, but we like to be in those situations. The ultimate test for us, and why we schedule Picayune and why we schedule a Petal and those types of things, is we want to understand physicality and what that looks like and where we are with it, and because if you go through and you end up having a couple games where it's just 35-0 and the clock runs and all that, you don't know where you are as a team. And so I think one thing about some of the other regions, like Region 3, Region 2, and all that stuff, as you go through your schedule, is the really good teams that you play punch holes in your team, and so you know where to fix it by the time it gets to playoff time. And because no team is perfect right now, and so what you want to do is you want to find out, where are my weaknesses, where do I need to improve, what are my strengths, and how do I highlight those, and that kind of stuff. And you only do that by playing those types of teams.
That's right.
And so I think it helps us in the long run. The biggest key, like I talked to our team on Tuesday, was, all right, you go through this situation, it can be a blessing here, but you have to improve from it and learn from it.
That's right. Learn from those tough losses. That's what we have to do. And like you said, it all starts in 2 weeks, right? Not to overlook any opponent at any time, but it all starts when we start region play in 2 weeks in Ocean Springs.
That's right. And ultimately for us, the biggest thing is about standard of play, right? And the opponent matters, but it doesn't. And we feel like, I say this about our team all the time, and I actually told it to them today in our team meeting. It was like, it's still once again a practice of, we have enough talent to win, right? Well, I mean, we're right there. You're boom, you're a play away, that kind of thing. But what we don't have is enough talent to win on talent alone. And so you have to do the things necessary in the situational execution. You got to be able to play with great awareness. You got to be able to play with great passion. You got to be able to prepare your body to have your best ready to go in the fourth quarter, and those types of things ready to go. And if we don't, well, then you kind of, and so it's making those plays and those key moments and those types of things. But I think we're so close when you're kind of talking about bounces going one way or the other, that, if you keep putting those things, eventually those things are going to go your way.
And it's visible. It's very visible that the caliber of teams that we've played up to this point and the progress. I like to just use Parker as an example. This last week, you can steadily see his progression from week to week.
Look like a different guy.
He looks comfortable. He looked poised. He was throwing his balls with more zip. He was more balanced. That's our goal. That's our strategy, and all we have to do is stick to it and be ready in 2 weeks when region ball starts playing. But before we get to region ball, we will go to Gula tomorrow night to play the Pascagoula Panthers at War Memorial Stadium. We're going to need all the Admiral Nation to show up for that one. Look, we're going to take a quick break, 60-second break, and we will return shortly. Thank you.
Tonight's Coach's Corner is also being brought to you in part by Savvy Sliders, located on Highway 49 in Gulfport. Come experience hand-breaded, hand-grabbed, and handcrafted greatness to fuel you up for the big game. Satisfy your savvy taste with their wide range of sliders and other great treats. And these aren't your average sliders. They're more than a bite. They're bold, juicy, and built to actually fill you up. So, if you want to be the star of the pre-game party, bring Savvy Sliders to the tailgate. Savvy Sliders. Eat savvy and be savvy.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. I'm here with the head coach, Blake Pennick, and kind of a cool thing we started a few weeks ago is highlighting the middle school program and the ninth grade program. So, Coach, I hear you just showed me a seventh grade score, I think it was. We're up, 26-0?
26-0 in the fourth quarter. It's a big one tonight. We got North Gulfport over at Milner Stadium tonight. It's the battle between some undefeated teams right there, and so had a huge week last week. Right, we seventh and eighth grade, they swept Ocean Springs. Ninth grade beat Ocean Springs again on Monday. So those young teams are kind of coming up, and they're doing a great job with it.
Yeah, we talk about names each week, right? Last week we talked about a few ninth graders. What about some of the names in this junior high group that you can throw out there for Admiral fans to keep an eye on?
Yeah, obviously I think it starts with Tico Hebert. And he's a huge quarterback, runs the ball, does a great job. I think he's going to play some safety tonight too. Just kind of a do-it-all guy for us, right? Just an ultimate competitor. A kid that is, he's a seventh grader last year. He had to play up as an eighth grade quarterback because of Jackson Wolverton's injury, and went gangbusters. We had a great record last year too. I think 7-1, something like that. And so now playing with his grade level, he's just like a man amongst boys at this point. And so really excited about him. You got another young quarterback in the seventh grade, Jace Moody, that's doing a great job. He's playing well. He's throwing a lot of touchdowns and being a great athlete. And I tell you this, Jameson, the last name slipping my mind right here, but he's one of our running backs in the eighth grade. He's doing a tremendous job. And anytime I see him every morning, he high fives me all the time. He's always late. He's always like a couple minutes late. He's sprinting to the locker room, trying to get his clothes on to get ready for practice. But he does a great job, man. He runs the ball really hard, and so I'm really excited about the group that we have. And then, Trey and Chance Horn, the two 6'4" receivers that we have in the eighth grade that are twins. Tico must have a great time, looking at those two guys out there out wide.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around our junior high program, Admiral Nation. Ever since the consolidation, right, of Bellevue and Central for our junior high program, it's been really fun to watch them play against opponents.
It
I'll
is.
just leave it there.
Yeah,
and
it
it was
is.
way overdue.
Man, it's so exciting seeing those guys coming from, instead of when they get to ninth grade not having any idea who each other is and stuff, and now you see them kind of sitting beside each other in the locker room and all that, and then you see like some of these teams, because Bayou always would play in the Division I with Biloxi and Ocean Springs and all those other teams like that. And they were playing kind of with half their grade, playing against other schools as big as us with their entire grade. And they, instead of going undefeated, or they go 3-4, 4-3, just not having enough horses. And then you have Central over there, and their numbers sometimes were either really big or really small, and playing against the other teams that they're not going to play against in high school, so they don't really understand what it is they're doing, and some of their after school and different things like that, and you have those difficulties. But bringing them together, the organization, the way that we're able to build culture and to build them playing together and to be able to watch them grow as players, and our high school coaches being able to bond and build that relationship with them has been awesome. I think it's what's led to our ninth graders, being so good this year right now, is because now we've had that year really with them and hands-on, and we know who they are and we know what the skill set is. And so we had that little bit of a head start that we didn't have before.
And I think you use the word culture. I think that's that's the big deal here with consolidation of the two junior highs. Getting back to the two adjectives of what we define our team this year, right? Yep. Discipline and physicality. That discipline part of that is real apparent, and you get them at an early age to kind of adopt your philosophy.
That's right. I mean, I'll tell you this, and that's what, to me, it's football and its core, right? It's hard to play football.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's hot out there. You got shoulder pads on. You're hitting each other all the time. It's, you practice a million times more than you play.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a different type dedication.
It's such a different type dedication. There's so much struggle, but the coolest part of it is you got all types of different people. Right? I mean, you got big kids, you got small kids, you got fast kids, you got slow kids, strong kids, weak kids. You got a kicker that that is in the mix there too, that has to go hang out with the 6 foot 280 pound left guard.
Take it easy
kind
on
of
the
thing.
kickers, man.
Well,
That's right.
I know. Well, it's the way that the game is, and all of them have to do their individual job that may have nothing to do with each other, but that contributes to the team's success. And so it's an exciting thing to see the way they're bonding and to see the coaches get in there with them and do all that. It's a lot of fun too, and their performances are also fun to watch as well.
And it's visible. I can see the kids having fun, and I can see you and your staff really doing a great job in getting involved and having fun yourself. All right, so that's the 7th and 8th grade. Tell us about this 9th grade team.
Yeah, had a big win against Ocean Springs, 27-6. Did a great job. Ended up being one of the slower starts we had, just because, Ocean Springs, they did a great job. They, we got the wide receivers that kind of always, they just make all the big plays. Well, they just decided they weren't going to do that, so they played basically everybody out at wide out, covered them, put safeties over top of them, did the whole thing, and then we had our young running back, Tyson Oaktamfor. All right, that's a hard name to say. But he ended up having 3 touchdowns, a ton of yards rushing, ended up probably averaging about 20 yards a carry. But it was great. And then obviously defensively, we played really, really good. And so that unit has just played really solid football all year long. And so we clinched our spot in the championship game for the 9th grade, which we'll probably be playing against Picayune, which coincidentally is the only loss where we had that 2-point loss, kind of lost on the last play of the game. We've had a few of those this year. But excited about this opportunity. They played, they stayed focused, and that's ultimately the goal, right? Is to stay focused and let's get better at playing football, win some games in the process, and get them ready for the varsity season.
Sure. And I'm sure it's really important to you and your staff for the community to see them making a difference, the junior high, the 9th grade, not only the varsity. What does that mean to you? How important is that to you guys?
It's really, really important because it shows the growth in our program and where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And so, I think for me, winning becomes a habit. It is, absolutely. And so, if you're kind of 3 and 4, 4 and 3 in the 7th grade. You kind of do a little bit of thing in the 8th grade. But what these guys are doing now is they're winning all the time. They're winning all the time. And so every year they come win, they get used to winning. They get used to doing what it takes and what's necessary for winning, so that when they get to the high school, let's go win. And that's what we're doing. And so getting to that and having that habit and creating the things that what you got to do and the work ethic that's being instilled in them by our middle school coaches is working that process out now. And so really excited about that group. And, what a few of them are seriously going to contribute to our season here in a couple of weeks. And so when that 9th grade season wraps up, they're going to be thrown into the fire, and several of them are coming to practice now. They practice in the morning, and then after school, they come and practice with the varsity. And you talk about dedication to that and what those guys, it matters to them. Sure. And so that's an exciting piece of the puzzle too.
Yeah, well, it's good things. It's good things to hear. We've heard a little bit about the junior high and the 9th grade last week. The future is very bright with Gulfport High football. I hear tremendous things through our community and even beyond our community and other communities about how loaded we are with talent at that level, the 7th and 8th grade level. So, good things to come. Look, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to move on to our opponent tomorrow night, the Pascagoula Panthers. We'll get Coach Pennick to give a breakdown of what we'll see offensively and defensively. Y'all stay with us. We will be back in 60 seconds.
Hey, Coach's Corner viewers. We'd like to give you a quick shout out to Exceed Physical Therapy, now serving in locations across Mississippi. Whether you're rehabbing from game day injuries, bouncing back from surgery, or just looking to boost strength, mobility, or balance, Exceed has got your back. And every other joint too. From vertigo and spinal rehab to sports-specific training, pelvic health, manual therapy, dry needling, and even TRX suspension training. They deliver more than expected. Their expert therapists craft a personalized recovery plan that gets you back in the game faster, stronger, and smarter. With 2 locations right here in Gulfport, one in Biloxi and one in Long Beach, Exceed's team of movement specialists is ready to help the Mississippi Gulf Coast exceed their recovery goals. So, don't just recover, exceed. Visit exceedtherapy.com and find your nearest clinic. That's exceedtherapy.com. Get back in the game, keep competing, and let Exceed help you bounce back better than ever. Thank you, Exceed Physical Therapy, for supporting the Gulfport High Admiral football team.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, and we want to thank Woody's Roadside, as we always do. They're our signature sponsor, and they have been tremendously valuable to the football program and hosting this show each week. Okay, we are getting on to our opponent of the week, the Pascagoula Panthers. We've even had Admiral Nation fans out there walk up and want to hear the update during the break. This is a much looked forward to session here. So the Pascagoula Panthers, look, I'll tell you, I grew up here playing. The Pascagoula Panthers were always known to be very physical, very athletic, a lot like us.
Yeah,
Has things changed?
No, it hasn't. They've dealt with some injuries the last couple of weeks. They played basically our region schedule. They started out with Biloxi, or they beat a Moss Point team right there pretty well, and then which is a huge rivalry game obviously for them. And then they went with Biloxi on the road. Then they played Ocean Springs, and then they just had D'Iberville this past week. And Biloxi, they started out, they played really poorly, and they basically spotted them 21 points. Ended up coming back and fell just short, 21-18, and then started out fast against Ocean Springs as well, and ended up basically 21-14 at halftime, and then the score ended 21-14 with Ocean Springs taking that one. And so obviously, then last week, they played D'Iberville on the road again, which is always a tough place to play. Did a good job, stayed in there, hung in the game. It was a close game right there in the fourth quarter, and then D'Iberville stretched it out to a 2-touchdown game. And so just a team that's still finding their identity. Like I said, dealing with some injuries, had a quarterback out the last couple of weeks, so they've been kind of piecemealing what they do as far as on offense and stuff. And so just guys they have 3 Division I guys. They have a safety committed to Texas A&M and a corner committed to Mississippi State. They got another linebacker that's one of the top linebackers in the state of Mississippi, and Jared Loper. Just really solid players. So I think that's why Coach Sims, scheduled the way that he did, with having us as well on the schedule. is he felt really good about this football team, and so he wanted to prepare them for the 6A title run, just kind of like what we're talking about, having a tough schedule, is prepare them in this non-region deal to have a tough schedule. And so he's always done a great job. He's been around the block. He knows what good football is, and he knows how to coach it. And so I expect a load from Pascagoula going on the road there.
Yeah, Coach Sims, Lewis Sims, has always had a great reputation as a coach, he and his staff. But you can guarantee you one thing, they're going to be buttoned up, they're going to come out physical, and they're going to have a lot of talent. You mentioned just a few in the defensive backfield.
That's right.
Texas A&M commit, what's that, their safety?
Yeah, Tylen Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, absolute stud. So it's definitely going to be a big challenge.
Yes, it will. And you got to be on your toes for anything, right? You know who plays quarterback, right? They come out on defense. I think their kind of backs are against the wall. You got to be prepared for anything, right? And so, what do they throw us a change up here? They do a great job on special teams, kind of keeping you on your toes with some onside kicks and different things. I expect a fake punt if it's out there, right? You're trying anything to keep the momentum in the game on their side. So. You don't know what that is, but you got to be prepared for it. And so we've done a great job this week as a staff, giving our guys as many looks as possible so that they're prepared. But ultimately, it's going to come down to this, like we talked about, discipline, and physicality. And so it's senior night for them, and so they're going to have a lot of just spirit in the stadium and kind of what high school football is about. And so we have to do a good job starting fast within the game to make sure that we keep the crowd on our side.
That's right.
And not let them have too much momentum. Obviously, the last time we went on the road, we started slow, and so offensively, so we really need to do a good job and start fast on offense and do a good job, on winning the line of scrimmage on defense.
Yeah, there you go, Admiral Nation. Facing a very talented team, a very physical team, and War Memorial Stadium is no easy place to go in and play.
No,
so let's get out tomorrow night. Let's make the 40-minute trip down I-10 and support the Admirals. We need to fill our side of the bleachers up tomorrow night. It's a big one in Pascagoula. Okay, we're going to take our last break, and we're going to come back and have the coaches' closing comments. Y'all stay with us. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Hey, Coach's Corner viewers. We'd like to give you a quick shout out to Exceed Physical Therapy, now serving in locations across Mississippi. Whether you're rehabbing from game day injuries, bouncing back from surgery, or just looking to boost strength, mobility, or balance, Exceed has got your back. And every other joint too. From vertigo and spinal rehab to sports-specific training, pelvic health, manual therapy, dry needling, and even TRX suspension training. They deliver more than expected. Their expert therapists craft a personalized recovery plan that gets you back in the game faster, stronger, and smarter. With 2 locations right here in Gulfport, one in Biloxi and one in Long Beach, Exceed's team of movement specialists is ready to help the Mississippi Gulf Coast exceed their recovery goals. So, don't just recover, exceed. Visit exceedtherapy.com and find your nearest clinic. That's exceedtherapy.com. Get back in the game, keep competing, and let Exceed help you bounce back better than ever. Thank you, Exceed Physical Therapy, for supporting the Gulfport High Admiral football team.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, and we want to thank Woody's one last time for being our signature sponsor. We appreciate all they do. And again, we play in Pascagoula tomorrow night. Please get out there and support the Admirals. They need you. We have a lot of momentum moving our way. I know that we had a tough loss last week, but I feel like, as the coach said, we got a lot of things that we can build off of. Looking forward to tomorrow night and getting into the action. So, Coach, what's your final message? What kind of take the Admiral Nation into your final message today being the last practice, what you said to your players, whether it was in the locker room or the field, of what to expect for tomorrow night?
Well, I just say this, Admiral Nation has showed up and showed out the last couple times we've been in Milner Stadium, and I tell you this, I know we feel the frustration. We do, because we feel it as coaches, we feel it as players, and I promise you nobody wants to win more than us, and we're doing everything we can. Our players are doing everything they can. Our coaches are doing everything they can, and the big story on this team is yet to be written, right? It's early on, and we're trying to keep building as being a team we want to be. We got a lot of young guys. They're working hard. They're doing a great job. And it's hard right now in the world of instant gratification to see what's ahead of you. And so our guys are doing a good job staying in the moment and staying right there to work on the focus and the standard of play and how we're doing. And so all the support means the world, and it's a big deal going on the road here in Mississippi, especially down on the coast with all such great atmospheres. We need a great crowd to create our own atmosphere. These guys are going to play hard. We've had an awesome week of practice. I'm really excited about what our guys are going to do. I think we have a great game plan. We're going to be ready to roll. We're going to put it all out there. There ain't no doubt about that. We're going to put it all out there. We're going to go for broke, and our backs are kind of against the wall itself, and so what we want to do is we want to come out swinging, and so really excited about this game and what the potential that our players have and the results and what we're trying to get in it.
Yeah, and Admiral Nation, just before the show started, Coach Pinnock was telling me how pleased and surprised and just proud he has been for the turnout, right?
Yeah,
we've had
absolutely.
great turnout at Milner Stadium.
No doubt.
Let's keep that up. Let's make the little short trip down I-10 tomorrow night. Big game. We need to be there to support. Very talented team. 7 p.m. tomorrow in Pascagoula against the Pascagoula Panthers at War Memorial Stadium. Coach, thank you again.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you, Admiral Nation.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to thank all of the support provided for the Coach's Corner each week. Again, thank you to our signature sponsor, Woody's Roadside, for hosting us each week. And our other sponsors, Harborview Oral and Facial Surgery Center, Gulfside Periodontics of Gulfport, Revive and Thrive, Savvy Sliders, and Exceed Physical Therapy. Thank you guys for supporting Gulfport High Admiral football.